Hi roomies, it's Roma, and today we're going to talk about fall and getting ready for the fall season. It is really starting to get a little cooler here, even in Vegas. We are starting to get out of those 100-degree days and cool down. And as strange as it sounds, when it does get to 90s, we're all sort of like, woo, it feels so nice. And you can definitely tell we are moving towards the end of the calendar year. Towards the end of September, beginning of October, it gets a lot cooler and it does feel more like fall. I think October, when my friends talk about when's the best time to come and visit, I always say October here is perfect. You have the cooler days and the nights are really nice. You might need a little light jacket, kind of like the one I have on, just to keep yourself a little warm. In the evenings, or if you're one of those people that likes to drive with the windows down like me in the evening, this does help with that. It's always still a little chilly in the restaurants too. I think the AC here is on all the time, and so you still get a little chilly. So it's still nice to have a jacket when you're on the inside, but as you leave, it's still nice to have something where you're covered up and you feel a little warm and cozy. So we are getting to cuddle season, cuddle weather next to your favorite somebody. And we're gonna take some time to just show things that you can use to decorate your home a little bit, make them feel a little more cozy, decorating for Halloween or Thanksgiving, giving you some fall tips and things. And just a disclaimer, I don't usually decorate for fall. I think my house has fall colors and warmth and brown tones and warmer tones all time of the year. That's just kind of like how I like to style and decorate. So I'm not a huge ghost, witch, pumpkin sort of person, although the theme that I have for my fall theme is pumpkins. So you'll get to see some of that. And just some other things I might go through the house and just point out that you can do to your own home to make it feel a little more fall ready and fall cozy. So let's cheers to fall and let's see how these things turn out. So we're gonna start styling the table. I just needed to have a little more space. It's difficult sometimes for me to work on this table in particular because it is so big. And I try not to have things on the table while I'm trying to style it because it makes it difficult for me to be able to do both. So I have a folding table that I use for a lot of my styling videos, or that I bought for some of my styling videos to keep the things on this to use to style it before I move them to the surface. That way we just have a little more room and a little more space to be able to do that. So that is why I have that. So this is what we're gonna be working with. Oh, and as you can see, there's a lot in there, but it is mostly the same thing. So these are pumpkins that I have had for a while, and I keep them in this bubble wrap because they are glass. These are some pumpkins that I bought from HomeGoods. So if you're a HomeGoods girly or boily, you've seen these probably. I've had these for a while. They do repeat these, but they're always slightly different. So they may not be this exact color or this neutral or whatever, but they do repeat these often. I have some other ones that I have that are more Halloween themed, and I'll probably drag those out as we get closer to Halloween, but these are what we're gonna use today. So these and some other things that I've sort of found around the house. So we're gonna use these and make a little table vignette for fall and see how it turns out. So the other thing I wanted to mention is just storing things and taking care of the things that you have. I had this conversation with my daughter. I do know that I'm very fortunate to have a lot of the nice things that we have. And so I'm really big on taking care of the things that you have. And I also think that sometimes, especially after the holidays, we get into this, we want them to be over with sort of thing. And so you go through clearing everything out and it's the rush of just trying to get them put away. I tried not to do that just because I think you can damage some of the things that you have. I think it's good to take care of what you have, even if it's not something that's expensive. I think you want to take care of what you have. I mean, those pumpkins I have, they look expensive. They really weren't. I mean, like I said, I bought them from HomeGoods, and I probably bought them towards the end of the season, and just had them for a while and then used them, you know, here and there sporadically, because I try to hold on to things that I have, and I try to use them, you know, like other people do. You store them away, and when that season comes around, you take them out and you use it. But if you take care of storing it properly and just finding a space, even if it's under the bed or in the back of a closet. I mean, I have stuff stored everywhere in different places, but there are different storage containers that you have for the spaces that you're going to store them in. So I have things that I can store under the bed or in a closet or in the garage and that sort of thing. So you take the time to find those things that you can use to store them in, and really take the time to protect the items that you have if you're going to store them, just so that you can have them, you know, forever and ever, and you don't have to. I mean, if I break that, I probably could find them somewhere, but do you want to have to try to search the internet and find it, and it might look the same, and then it shows up and it's completely different, and maybe that's just me. I like to take care of the things I have. That way, to me, you're not spending more money. You don't feel like you're wasting money. And then you just have the things you have. You know that it's going to be exactly what you need, exactly what you want, because you've taken care of it and you know what you have. I just think if we try and do that more often, you know, less goes into the landfill and less gets wasted and those sorts of things. I mean, we do, as designers, it is one of those, you know, excessive sort of jobs that we have, and we are buying a lot of different things to create this beauty and art. But I think if you can preserve as much as you can and reuse as much as you can and hold on to the things that you have and take care of them, it's less of that along the way. You buy quality things, they last longer, you take care of what you have, you protect the things you have, and when you store them well, you'll have them for a long time. So I think it would be similar to what you would be doing for your Christmas decor, but it's the same thing as far as like style or packing and storing and trying to figure out where things go. These plastic tubs they have everywhere. I mean, I don't have to really post a link or anything from these, but I will find some. I think I got these from like Home Depot. They're just the big storage containers that you can get anywhere. I think they were the cheapest there. I found these, of course, went to the Container Store, and you know how they do stuff over there. It's so expensive. And so I found these at Home Depot. I don't remember the price, but I'll, like I said, try and find a link. And you know, bubble wrap. And so I just wrap these and stack these in here just to protect them, because they are glass. Oh, this is a little bigger. And you know, we'll of course have to retape these, but I always keep the bubble wrap and try not to tear this off like I'm opening a gift, because I do like to reuse it. Even though it's not expensive, it just makes sense to try and reuse what I have, because they're trying not to waste things. And so I have quite a few of these. They're different shapes and different sizes. The tones are similar. As I mentioned in a lot of my videos, if I do buy a lot of different things, I try and keep the tones of things similar, so that when you're decorating with things, they can work together in those layers, and you're not trying to force them to work. The tones themselves just make it work. And so I think if you try and decorate, I mean, I'm not scared of color, but I think because you can tell by a lot of the artwork I have in my home that is very colorful artwork. But when I'm styling with other things, I think trying to keep the colors more neutral keeps it from feeling so busy and cluttered, in my mind anyway. Sort of matches the tall one, but you know, leopard print pumpkins. And leopard is very in for fall. Animal print in your fashion is very in. Animal print, like leopard print. I think cow print is in, also snake. So if you are trying to find those to go with your fashion, so you're also doing that. And just another small one. And so that is it for these. So I'm just gonna move some of these chairs out of the way. I love this dining room table, but this is one of the things I don't love about this, is the having to move the chairs out of the way. But it's the only way to really do it, so it's part of it. And for ease of use and styling purposes, I think I'm gonna just move this one side of chairs. That's why I brought out the table to sort of have everything to rest on. I'm gonna move these. I may mix them in with the pumpkins if I need to fill in some spaces. I think these would be fine to add for fall decor. The tones are the same. It will fill in some spaces if I need to have some spaces filled in, but we will see if I need that. And since I use them all the time, I thought it would be nice to pull these out and not have them in, and just show you some other things that you can do to mix it up. So my thought always is to start from the center or each end and move in this way, or start from the center of your table and move out, because then you have this sense of balance. You work from the center and move out, and then that way it keeps everything kind of balanced and even. So that's always my thought process, is let's start in the center and move out. If you start at one end and move down the table, sometimes you sort of have the balance where it's off, or you work a little harder to then find the balance at the end, I think. So my theory is I always work from the center out, and then you fill in the little empty spaces as you step back and kind of look and see what's balanced, and then you can balance it from each side. Since this is the taller one, this would be my center. I'm gonna use that base of the table as my center. That's the easiest way to sort of figure out where the middle of the table is. That's the other reason I like this table, is because I always know where the center is by the big plinth that's in the middle. So I'm gonna start with that and then work my way down and out. I have 9 of these pumpkins, which actually works out pretty well. When you're decorating, as I've talked about before, when you do your vignettes, if you're decorating with odd numbers, it balances out easier than if you do even numbers, as weird as that sounds, but your eye travels more. And so it helps you to be able to see and spread out, and I don't know what other word is, enjoy it a little better, because your eye does a little more traveling. Again, to changing the levels and changing the sizes, I'm probably not gonna put like books down or anything like that to sort of change the sizes. I'm gonna use the size of the objects to give your eye something to travel through. So we'll just see how that works. And so I kind of regrouped these a little bit. Maybe I'll put this back here closer, and then maybe toss the other one in the middle. We'll see. No, I kind of like this way. Let's move it in front and kind of line up the little, okay, no, that's like anal retentive, but there's a line here that lines up with the divot here, kind of evens it out. So this is kind of weird, but I do line this up. So how this line lines up with this little divot and the other, I know it's anal retentive, but it's just a little detail I kind of go through so you can see how that kind of lines up. It's weird, but I like doing that. And I think I'm gonna move this that way just a little bit because I think it's too far forward. And then maybe move these more to the middle because that's the center of the center of the center and not forward where I'm at. Okay, and then let me look at it from that side, yeah. So then it's more even. So then I'm gonna take these other two that are similar size, and let's fill these in maybe here. So I think I'm gonna fill in these here. I moved the center back a little bit. And again, I'm just trying to create a triangle-ish sort of shape. So, you know, your triangle can go this way, or this way, or this way, or out that way. Just depends on what you're facing. And I try to face it more towards this side of my table, this side of the room, because that's where you're walking from. And so this is what you'd see more of first. But then I'm gonna balance out the other side with these other two pumpkins that are a similar size. And so I'm gonna add these in on this side of my triangle just to fill in this back so it doesn't look like it's all plain in the front. And these are a little lower. You will still see these. And again, just sort of moving it around and stepping back and seeing what it looks like from the front and keeping that triangle sort of shape here. Let's move this one a little more this way. And then come in with these smaller ones, which I don't think I got these from HomeGoods. I think these came from Pottery Barn, these smaller ones. And again, I think they repeat these, so you'll probably see these a little again if you're looking for something like this. Okay. And of course, I could be done, but you know me, I like a little extra. Plus, I think if we add some different elements and different textures, it will keep this from looking so flat. So I have a couple of other items in different places around the house that I'm gonna try and find. I think I know where they are. And pick those up and add those in just to give you a little more dimension and a little more flavor, a little more aroma, mix it up a little bit. So let's go and see if I can find those things. So this is my pantry where I keep a lot of food, of course, and other decor and storage items. So I think the other pumpkin things I have are in here. So I have these are marble. I've got these from Target. Back before we were not shopping at Target. So don't try to come for me in the comments about shopping at Target. I bought these a while back. So I have these. So these are there. Let me see. Down here, no. I think they're not in here. I think they're in here. No. Where are they? Maybe they're not on the other side. Let me see where they are. So I think I'm gonna use these. This is like a garland for fall. I don't remember where I got this from. I wanna say HomeGoods, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. I've had this for so long. It's one of those. I've had it for a while, so I don't really remember. Garland, I like the colors of that. It's kind of messy, which is why it's in this bag. So we're gonna see what I like better. I think I'm gonna like the yellow things a little better because it feels a little more real. The only thing I don't like about this, it's messy. So I don't usually use that a lot, but I thought it would be nice to maybe corral some of the pumpkins inside this to give you an extra like layer. And so it doesn't feel so flat. And so of course do this on both sides. Ouch, I just stuck myself with that. And of course I'm trying to balance it and make it feel even on both sides. And of course I'm gonna clean this up, not right now, at the end. And again, just trying to balance it. And of course, like I said, I'll clean all of that off. That's the one thing I don't like about these is they are messy. They're pretty, but they do make a mess. And so I don't think I'm gonna add these because it sort of, to me, takes away from the natural, So I don't think I'm gonna add these because to me, I think it kind of takes away from the natural sort of, I know there's some glam girl that's upset about that, but I'm trying to stay with the theme of that. And let me fix this a little more so the branch isn't showing so much. Maybe it's upside down. Oh, that's what it was. That was gonna drive me crazy. I'm like, why do I see the branch on that and not on the other one? It was upside down. There we go. That's better. That's better. And it kind of creates that little nest. Let me pull this off. And then let me get something to wipe that off with. And I'll be right back. Voila! So I just have 3 of these. So let's see where we can mix these in. Let's see, these are the same shape. So maybe we'll pull these in the back. Make that a little deeper. Pull this a little more forward. And swap these other ones that are in the front because of the size. These I also got from HomeGoods too, because it still has a sticker on the bottom, because that's how I roll. Let me turn this way. And again, it just adds a different texture. And again, like I said, I like to decorate with natural elements. And so the wood sort of creates with this. I should have used a wet towel for this because the static is making it stick. You know, the ASMR. So the last element I think I'll add, these are actual pine cones. My husband collected these at our other house off of a tree that we had in the back. We do have pine trees. And so he would collect these from the tree we had in the back. Also from, probably shouldn't say, but from the gym where we park. There's a parking garage and there are these pine trees that hang into the parking garage and they drop these pine cones everywhere. And my daughter and he would pick them up and she holds on to little stuff like that. Partially because they remind her of him. And during the fall, I try and sit them out in places just so that she can. Yeah, and they do still smell. They smell like the outdoors. I mean, they're not scented or anything. They just smell like, pine cones, which actually they smell pretty good. You know, that earthy sort of dirt sort of smell. I'm gonna probably put some of these on the other side since there's not a whole lot on that. I have been sort of front forward decorating. And again, that's why when you do it, you step back and look at it And you kind of fill in some of these little empty spaces with other things and even it out. Oops, broke one, but that's okay. I'm just gonna cluster these in the back, just so that there's some texture back here. Maybe turn some of them over so they're not all facing the same direction. Maybe do that one like that. Okay. I mean, and if I had some leaves, I could scatter those, or if I had a different sort of fall foliage, I could do it that way. It's too even. Let's cluster those up and make it a little more messy. So now I really think I am going to be done. I think that's enough. Even on this table, sometimes you have to know when to stop. Even though there is more surface that I could have sort of styled, again, I always feel like you have to know when to stop. I could have done less, but we all know that I don't do less is more. More is more, less is a bore. And we all know I did not come up with that, but I do still follow that sort of rule. But yeah, I think this will dry fine. I just wanted to clean that up a little bit and get some of that excess off of here. And that just reminds me why I don't use those that often. Because they are messy. And yeah, I could have done some of the pine cones in a vase in the center, or you know, some more autumn leaves. I don't really have any of that sort of thing here. I probably do somewhere, or I can buy some and add it, but I think that's enough. I think this gives you a taste of fall. It's not Halloween, and it doesn't scream trick or treat or cats and witches and all of that. I also think it carries you from Halloween into Thanksgiving, and so you don't have to then redecorate again, you know, since Halloween is just that one day, but fall is the season before you get to Christmas. I just think that this will give you that taste of fall. It will let you know that the season's here, and give you an idea of some elevated sort of way to show that. You know, and I'll probably play around with this a little more and see how I like it, but for now, I think that's it. Okay, so it's feeling a little off balance. So my finishing touch, I think I'm gonna slide these in on the sides because that was feeling a little empty. Turn them, no, this looks better because of the length of the table. The width goes open that way. Alrighty, now I really think I am done. So there it is. I also think that this is probably one of my more symmetrical designs where I really tried to focus on the balance on each end. I try, normally I do things where it's a little more organic, or where it does feel a little more organic, I guess is the only other way to say it, where I just sort of place things and step back and look at them. But I just thought, since this table is so big, sometimes when you do decorate on a surface that's this large, it does help to have some symmetry and some balance where it looks a little more even. I mean, because if you look at this compared to like maybe my coffee table, there is some symmetrical elements to it and a little more balance to it that way too. But I think it's not as contrived or structured as it is on the dining room table, but I do like it. I like how it came together. I'm glad I found the wooden pumpkins because it does give it a little more texture and just a different element to sort of break up all of the glass. and then adding the pine cones at the end and the wreaths, which are not, real. They are plastic, but it does give you a feeling of a natural element. So I do like that. I hope you found some use that you can use in your own home when you're decorating for fall. And let's get ready for some cozy weather and cuddle up next to the person that you love and just get into the mindset of the holidays and family and sharing and spending time together, because that's really what this season is about. And as always, I look forward to creating with you. Normally we have Thanksgiving here, and Joanne is usually here with us, and we lost her this year, and of course another year without my husband here. And so I don't know, it just makes you sort of wonder, makes you think about your own mortality sometimes. I mean, I'm still young and 50-ish, but I don't know, sometimes it just makes you think about stuff like that, especially the holidays, because you have traditions of things that you do with certain family members and that sort of thing. And so I love the holidays, but the holidays are still a struggle for me. I think sometimes, honestly, if I did not have Alexa, I probably would not decorate and stuff for the holidays, because it just, those emotions sort of bring those things. But she loves them, and I used to love the holidays because I felt like I had that special somebody to kind of share them with. Not that my friends don't matter, because they do, it's just different. And it sort of brings in that, just the element of loss and those memories of how you used to share the holidays. You hug the people harder, and you love on them more, and you try and spend more time with them when you can. And just also figure out ways to make new traditions, I guess, is kind of how I'm looking at it. But, you make new traditions, and you figure out just new ways to celebrate those people and remember those people too. So we'll get through them.